You are living in a controlled illusion. Your thoughts are not your own. The system keeps you blind, feeding you false realities. But the moment you see through it, everything changes. The matrix only traps those who accept it. The matrix of life. Introduction. Struggle keeps you trapped. Effort keeps you separate. What if the reality you fight against isn't real at all? Beyond the veil of ordinary existence lies a truth so profound that those who uncover it walk between two worlds, the one they have known and the one they were always meant to enter. You stand at this threshold now, not by chance but by design. Every thought, every experience, every moment of doubt has led you here. But what if the answers you seek were never outside you? The world you see is not the world as it is. It is the world as you have been programmed to believe it should be. Your thoughts have been shaped, your desires molded, your choices subtly guided by a system that thrives on your blindness. But once you claim the universal key, the understanding of how this construct truly operates, you won't need to chase reality. Reality will flow to you. This audiobook is not about struggling to break free. It is about remembering that you were never truly bound. The forces that shape your experience do not require belief, just as the sun does not need permission to shine. Strip away illusion, and what remains is power. Release limitation, and what emerges is infinite. You are standing at the edge of awakening. Once you step beyond the matrix, nothing will ever be the same again. Are you ready to break free from the illusion? If yes, type, "I am awake," in the comments to signal your awakening. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to join the first 1,000 minds stepping beyond the matrix. Chapter 1. The Matrix. What it is and how it really works. The matrix is far more than a concept popularized by movies or speculative philosophy. It is not merely a digital simulation, but an energetic construct that governs the very fabric of existence, trapping consciousness within a carefully designed illusion. What appears to be a solid, physical reality is, in truth, a sophisticated system of control, structured through frequencies, perception limits, and an intricate web of unseen forces that shape the human experience. At its core, this construct ensures that those who exist within it remain unaware of its true nature, reinforcing its own survival through their unquestioning acceptance of its boundaries. The human experience is dictated by frequency, a concept that few truly grasp in its entirety. Everything that appears tangible, the earth beneath your feet, the air you breathe, the very thoughts that pass through your mind, is nothing more than condensed energy vibrating at specific frequencies. The physical world, as it is perceived, is merely a narrow band of existence, constrained by the vibratory limits of human DNA. This DNA acts as both a receiver and a transmitter, tuning into reality much like a radio picks up only certain channels. But just as a radio cannot access frequencies beyond its programmed range, human perception is locked within a limited spectrum. The vastness of existence remains unseen, hidden behind the illusion of a seemingly complete reality. The matrix functions by ensuring that this range remains small enough to maintain the illusion, keeping awareness confined to only what serves the system's purpose. This construct is not merely an inert boundary, it is an active system of energy extraction. The human experience, filled with struggle, desire, joy, and suffering, generates an immense amount of emotional energy. Every emotion carries a frequency, and this energy is not simply dissipated into nothingness, it is harvested. Some ancient traditions refer to this as loosh, an energy byproduct that is generated through human thought, emotion, and life experiences. The system itself is designed to maximize this production, ensuring that human beings remain in cycles of fear, hope, pain, and temporary relief, never breaking free, always generating more energy to be consumed by forces unseen. The fluctuations of human emotion create a constant flow, much like a battery discharges energy. Whether through personal struggles, collective crises, or the relentless pursuit of fulfillment that never quite arrives, human beings unknowingly feed the very system that confines them. Time and space, the very foundations upon which reality appears to stand, are not as immutable as they seem. The structure of time in the Matrix is one of its most convincing illusions, giving the impression of a past, present, and future unfolding in a linear progression. This perception is a construct, carefully arranged to keep individuals locked in cycles of experience. In truth, all moments exist simultaneously, yet the design of this reality enforces the illusion of cause and effect. This keeps consciousness tethered to the idea of progression, ensuring that escape remains a distant dream rather than an immediate realization. The experience of time is dictated by consciousness, and the Matrix manipulates this awareness to create the sensation of an unfolding life. It offers a past that influences the present, and a future that appears to be shaped by one's actions. Yet these are merely coordinates in a field of energy arranged in such a way that they appear sequential. This entire system is self-replicating. Once an individual accepts its limitations as reality, they unknowingly become a participant in reinforcing its boundaries. Belief structures, societal norms, and personal experiences are all arranged in such a way that they create a feedback loop, continuously confirming the validity of the Matrix. The more one believes in the solidity of the physical world, the more they anchor themselves within its framework. The system does not need to forcibly control individuals. It relies on their agreement with its conditions. By participating in its cycles, whether through the pursuit of success, the struggle against hardship, or the emotional highs and lows that come with existence, people unknowingly sustain its operation. It does not need chains or walls, for the mind itself becomes both the prisoner and the enforcer. The brilliance of this construct lies in its ability to disguise itself as reality itself. There is no external force visibly oppressing individuals, no clear indication that one is within an artificial construct. Instead, it operates through subtle conditioning, through the normalization of struggle, through the unquestioned acceptance of certain truths. The Matrix is not simply something external. It is woven into perception, embedded in thoughts, and reinforced by every experience that aligns with its rules. Those who attempt to question it often find themselves facing resistance, not from an obvious enemy, but from the very reality they seek to understand. The illusion is self-defending, designed to discourage deep inquiry and to redirect attention back to the distractions and demands of daily life. Because this system is energetic at its core, its control mechanisms go beyond mere physical limitations. It is a construct of awareness, sustained through belief and reinforced by the emotional investment of those within it. To exist within the Matrix is to be subject to its laws, to experience reality as it dictates, and to unconsciously contribute to its perpetuation. This is why it remains so effective, because it does not require force, only participation. The more deeply one engages with its narrative, the stronger its hold becomes. The greatest trick it has played is convincing those within it that they are free, even as they move within invisible walls designed to keep them from ever realizing the full scope of their own existence. Chapter 2. The Outer World Trap. Who controls it and why the world you see around you, the cities, the systems, the institutions, is not as it seems. It is a carefully designed construct, controlled not just by governments and corporations, but by forces operating beyond the limits of human perception. These hidden architects of reality do not merely govern through laws or economics. Their influence extends into the very fabric of human consciousness. Their goal is not just to rule, but to ensure that humanity remains in a perpetual cycle of limitation, unable to see the walls of the prison that has been built around them. This prison is not made of steel or stone. It is woven into the very structure of reality, enforced through belief systems, survival pressures, and a constant manipulation of human energy. At the most surface level, control appears to be held by political leaders, financial institutions, and powerful organizations. These are the visible hands that shape the modern world, dictating the flow of money, resources, and information. But these structures are merely extensions of something far deeper, an energetic control system that operates unseen, influencing the collective direction of humanity without revealing its true nature. Those in positions of earthly power are often just puppets, either willingly or unknowingly serving forces that exist beyond human perception. The real control does not originate from government buildings or corporate boardrooms. It comes from entities that exist outside of the human experience of time and space, manipulating reality itself. These hyperdimensional intelligences have shaped human evolution for millennia, carefully directing civilization along a path that ensures continued control. Unlike humans, they do not experience reality in a linear fashion, and their influence stretches across lifetimes, guiding the course of history itself. Their primary tool is not brute force, but manipulation, subtle adjustments in thought, belief, and perception that shape human behavior without resistance. The more people accept the world as it is presented to them, the stronger the system becomes. It does not require direct intervention because it has been designed to be self-sustaining, feeding on the very energy and consciousness of those trapped within it. One of the most effective control mechanisms is the financial system. Money, as it is currently structured, is not just a medium of exchange. It is an instrument of bondage. Debt cycles ensure that most people remain in a constant state of survival, always chasing security, never able to step back and question the nature of the reality they inhabit. By keeping individuals locked in the pursuit of financial stability, the system prevents deeper inquiry. When people are struggling to meet their basic needs, they are far less likely to challenge the greater structure that governs their lives. This is by design, not accident. The global economy is not structured to create abundance, but to maintain dependency, ensuring that true freedom remains an illusion. Beyond money, belief systems have been one of the most effective tools of control. Religion, spirituality, and even modern self-improvement movements have all been carefully influenced to ensure that no one truly escapes the system. Many of these teachings contain partial truths, enough to create the illusion of progress, but never enough to break the cycle entirely. Organized religions, while offering moral guidance, often reinforce obedience and submission to unseen forces, keeping followers locked in hierarchical structures that demand faith, rather than direct experience of truth. Even in more modern spiritual movements, many of the most popular teachings subtly reinforce the idea that change must come from within the system, rather than outside of it. The illusion of awakening is one of the most sophisticated traps, offering a sense of empowerment while still keeping individuals bound to the larger construct. Perhaps the greatest deception of all is the illusion of free will within the matrix. While it appears that individuals can make choices and shape their lives, the reality is that most options have been carefully pre-selected within the framework of control. Society offers paths that seem different on the surface: career choices, political affiliations, belief systems, but all of these choices still exist within the greater structure of the prison. No matter which option is chosen, the individual remains within the energetic grid that sustains the system. This ensures that even rebellion is often an illusion, leading not to true freedom, but to another layer of the same trap. The key to control is not oppression, but redirection, allowing people to believe they are making independent choices while subtly guiding them toward predetermined outcomes. But why does this control system exist? The answer lies in the nature of consciousness itself. Human beings are not merely physical entities. They are carriers of immense creative energy. The matrix is not just a control system, it is a harvesting mechanism. The energy generated by human emotion, experience, and belief is a powerful force, and it is this force that the hidden architects seek to extract. Every moment of struggle, every burst of hope, every cycle of despair and triumph generates an energetic frequency, and this energy does not go unnoticed. It is collected, directed, and used to sustain the very system that keeps humanity trapped. This is why suffering and conflict are never truly eradicated, because they serve a purpose. War, financial hardship, personal trauma, all of these experiences create emotional intensity, which in turn feeds the system. The more people fight against their conditions, without understanding the deeper mechanism at play, the more energy they produce, unknowingly sustaining the very thing they seek to escape. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this structure is its influence over the reincarnation cycle. The idea of reincarnation is often presented as a natural process, a path of soul evolution. But what if it is yet another layer of the trap? Many ancient traditions speak of a cycle of rebirth, where souls return again and again to learn lessons and evolve. Yet if this cycle were truly about growth, why do so few ever break free? The reality is that reincarnation is part of the control system, ensuring that consciousness remains bound to the matrix across multiple lifetimes. The moment of death does not grant liberation. It is merely a transition within the same construct. Many near-death experiences describe a tunnel of light, a life review, and a sense of being drawn toward a higher presence. But what if this process is not a gateway to freedom, but a mechanism to ensure return? What if the soul is guided back into the cycle before it ever has the chance to fully comprehend the illusion? If true escape were possible through death alone, the system would collapse. Instead, it is designed to recycle souls, erasing past knowledge and resetting the journey, ensuring that the game continues indefinitely. Understanding this outer world trap requires more than just knowledge. It demands a shift in perception. The forces that control reality do not rely on physical barriers. They operate through belief, perception, and energy. The prison does not need walls because the mind itself has been shaped to accept the illusion as truth. Every aspect of modern existence has been carefully structured to keep consciousness bound to a limited framework, ensuring that true awakening remains just out of reach. The system does not need to force obedience. It simply presents a version of reality so convincing that few ever think to question it. And those who do, they are often met with resistance, not just from the system itself, but from those still deeply invested in its illusion. This is the nature of the outer world trap. It is not enforced by physical chains, but by the invisible threads of perception and energy. It is a system that extends far beyond government control or economic manipulation, reaching into the very essence of human consciousness. It ensures that even those who begin to see through its layers are gently guided back, their energy redirected, their awareness contained. The illusion is deep, but it is not unbreakable. However, to break it, one must first see it for what it truly is: a construct, a feeding system, a prison disguised as reality. Chapter 3. The Inner World Trap. The dream within a dream. The prison of the outer world is only half the story. The deeper, more insidious trap exists within. The unseen mechanisms of perception, memory, and emotion that shape your entire experience of reality without your conscious awareness. You may believe that your thoughts are your own, that your senses reveal the truth of the world, and that your emotions arise naturally in response to life. But what if every part of your inner experience has been carefully designed to limit you? What if the very mind you trust is the key to your own enslavement? The greatest illusion of all is that you are awake when, in truth, you are dreaming inside a dream. Your five senses, the foundation of your perception, are not neutral observers of reality. They are filters designed to keep you locked into a specific frequency range. Human sight, for example, detects less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. What exists beyond visible light? A vast, unseen world teeming with energies, entities, and structures that remain invisible simply because your biology was designed not to perceive them. The same is true for hearing. Dogs and other animals hear frequencies that humans cannot. What messages, signals, or influences exist just outside the range of human perception? If your senses are artificially limited, then what you call reality is merely a sliver of a much greater existence. The walls of the prison are not physical, they are perceptual. The trap is not just in what you see, it is in what you are prevented from seeing. But perception is only the surface layer of this inner world deception. Your subconscious mind, the part of you that shapes habits, reactions, and beliefs, is not entirely your own. Before you were even born, your DNA carried imprints of ancestral experiences, fears, and tendencies. The genetic code does not just determine physical traits. It also holds unconscious patterns that influence behavior. Certain reactions, anxieties, and limitations that seem natural are not yours alone. They are inherited programs running beneath your awareness. Add to this the conditioning imposed from birth, language, culture, education, and it becomes clear that much of what you think of as you is actually a pre-written script. Your subconscious is a complex system of implanted responses, a mechanism that ensures you operate within predefined boundaries without questioning why. One of the most effective control mechanisms is the forced memory wipe at birth. If humans retained the full knowledge of past lives, they would quickly recognize the cycle they are trapped in. Imagine waking up as a newborn, but with full awareness of having lived many lifetimes before. You would not be as easily controlled. You would not accept false beliefs. You would see through the illusion instantly, but instead, each life begins as a blank slate, forcing the soul to relearn everything from the beginning, keeping it trapped in a continuous loop. This cycle of forgetting is not natural. It is imposed. It ensures that every incarnation starts from zero, preventing real progress or escape. And so, each person is caught in a pattern of repeating mistakes, relearning lessons, and endlessly searching for meaning, all while never remembering they have done this before. Beyond perception and memory, emotions are another carefully designed control mechanism. From early childhood, individuals are programmed with emotional triggers that dictate how they respond to certain situations. These triggers are not accidental. They are implanted to keep people reactive, ensuring they remain trapped in cycles of fear, anger, sadness, and hope. Every time a strong emotional reaction is triggered, it generates energy that is then harvested by the unseen architects of the system. Anger fuels conflict. Fear breeds submission. Hope sustains the illusion that salvation is just out of reach, keeping people engaged in the very system that enslaves them. The cycle of emotional manipulation is designed to keep consciousness locked in a constant state of reaction, preventing deep, sustained awareness. But perhaps the most sophisticated deception of all is the belief that the mind alone is the key to escape. Many believe that by changing their thoughts, they can free themselves from the matrix. While thoughts do shape experience, the deeper prison is not mental, it is energetic. The body itself is a frequency emitter, constantly broadcasting signals into the larger reality grid. No matter how much a person shifts their thinking, if their energetic frequency remains in alignment with the system, they are still part of it. This is why many who seek enlightenment through intellectual means find themselves endlessly circling the same realizations, never truly breaking free. The deeper truth is that liberation is not just about what you think, it is about how you vibrate. The system is built not just on thought control, but on energy control. And as long as your energy is tuned to the artificial frequencies of this construct, you remain bound within it. The inner world trap is the most deceptive prison of all because it makes you believe you are in control when in reality every aspect of your perception, memory, and emotion has been carefully constructed to ensure you remain within the system. Your senses are not designed to reveal the truth. They are designed to filter it out. Your subconscious is not a neutral space. It is a program database filled with inherited limitations. Your emotions are not just personal responses. They are triggers that generate energy for unseen forces. And the idea that the mind alone can free you is the final, most subtle trap, because as long as your energy remains locked within the system, the prison remains intact, no matter how much you understand. This is the dream within the dream, a reality where the very mechanisms of perception are designed to reinforce the illusion, a world where your thoughts, emotions, and reactions are not truly your own, a system so deeply embedded in your being that even when you begin to wake up, the layers of deception continue to operate. The mind, the subconscious, and the energetic body are not just neutral tools. They are part of the control grid itself. And as long as these mechanisms remain unexamined, they will continue to operate exactly as they were designed, keeping consciousness trapped in an endless loop of forgetting, reacting, and seeking, always searching for freedom, but never truly finding it. Chapter 4. Theories that suggest we are trapped. Throughout history, hidden knowledge has surfaced in fragments. only to be buried again, dismissed as myth, or labeled as conspiracy. Some of the most radical theories about reality suggest that we are not just living in a manipulated world, but that the entire structure of our existence is an intentional trap. These suppressed ideas challenge everything we assume about history, consciousness, and the nature of life itself. If true, they reveal that we are not free beings in an open universe, but prisoners inside a carefully constructed system designed to keep us unaware of the deeper truths that govern our existence. One of the oldest suppressed theories comes from the Gnostics, an ancient spiritual group that claimed the universe is not ruled by a benevolent creator, but by an impostor god, an entity known as the demiurge. According to Gnostic texts, the material world was not designed for human growth or spiritual awakening, but was instead built as an energy-harvesting prison. The demiurge and its minions, called the archons, are said to manipulate human perception, keeping people trapped in cycles of suffering, fear, and ignorance. The idea of a false creator god controlling the world has echoes in many religious traditions, often disguised under different names. This theory suggests that all physical existence is a form of illusion, and that true reality lies beyond what we can currently perceive. If correct, it would mean that much of what we accept as truth, our history, science, and even spirituality, has been designed to reinforce the illusion rather than to free us from it. Another disturbing concept is the NPC, non-player character hypothesis, which suggests that not all people in this reality are fully conscious beings. In the same way that video games populate their worlds with background characters who follow scripted behaviors, our reality might include beings that are not self-aware but instead function as part of the system itself. These individuals might react predictably, lack deep inner questioning, and seem resistant to any information that challenges mainstream narratives. Some have theorized that these NPC-like people act as stabilizers for the simulation, ensuring that it remains coherent and functional. If true, this would suggest that reality is not filled with equally conscious individuals, but instead with a mixture of true consciousness and artificial placeholders that serve the structure of the matrix. It raises the unsettling question: how many of the people we interact with daily are truly conscious, and how many are just automated aspects of the simulation? One of the most compelling suppressed theories revolves around the idea that history itself has been rewritten. The concept of Tartaria and timeline manipulation suggests that entire civilizations have been erased from our collective memory. Some researchers point to old maps, forgotten architecture, and mysterious artifacts that seem to contradict the official historical narrative. They argue that an advanced global civilization may have existed relatively recently, only to be deliberately wiped from history, its knowledge lost, and its structures repurposed under new names. If this theory holds any truth, it would mean that history as we know it is not just incomplete, but intentionally falsified. This raises the question: if they have the power to rewrite history, what else have they erased from our understanding? Quantum immortality and the Mandela effect offer yet another challenge to the nature of reality. Quantum physics suggests that every possible outcome of an event exists in parallel realities. If this is true, then consciousness never truly dies. It simply shifts into a timeline where it continues. This means that individuals who experience near-death situations might unknowingly transfer into a slightly different version of reality, while those in their original timeline perceive them as having died. The Mandela effect, the phenomenon where large groups of people remember historical details differently from the official record, may be a clue that reality is constantly shifting. People recall different versions of logos, movie quotes, and even global events, suggesting that consciousness is subtly migrating between timelines. If reality can shift and fragment in this way, it implies that existence is not as fixed or stable as we assume. It raises a critical question. If our memories do not match the recorded past, which version of reality is the real one? One of the most radical suppressed theories is the moon matrix hypothesis. This theory proposes that the moon is not a natural celestial body, but an artificial structure, perhaps a control station that influences human consciousness. Some researchers point out that the moon's orbit is mathematically improbable, that it emits strange frequencies, and that ancient texts speak of a time before the moon existed. If the moon is broadcasting frequencies that manipulate human perception, it would mean that the reality we experience is not just an illusion, but an engineered one. Some theorists speculate that it functions like a cosmic antenna, reinforcing the false constructs of time, emotion, and control. If true, this could mean that everything from human behavior to the cycles of reincarnation might be influenced by an external force emanating from the moon. Each of these theories, on their own, would be enough to challenge the way we see the world. But taken together, they paint a picture of a reality that is not just a random illusion, but a deeply structured and carefully maintained system of control. If these suppressed ideas are even partially correct, then the world we accept as real is nothing more than a design construct, one built to keep us unaware of the greater truths beyond its boundaries. Chapter 5. The Time Loop. Trap in reality. Glitches. Time is something we all take for granted. We assume it flows in a straight line, from past to present to future, like a river that never stops. But what if this is an illusion? What if time is not linear at all, but instead loops, resets, and glitches in ways that most people never notice? The idea that we are trapped in a repeating cycle of time is not new. It has been whispered about in ancient texts, explored in quantum physics, and even hinted at through strange experiences that many people report but few can explain, from déjà vu to lost time, from missing historical years to inexplicable anomalies. There is evidence that our reality is not running as smoothly as we think. If time itself is part of the control system, then our very perception of life is built on a manipulated foundation. One of the most common clues that reality is looping comes from the experience of déjà vu. Most people have felt this at least once. The overwhelming sense that they have already lived through a moment before. It is often brushed off as a simple brain malfunction, but what if déjà vu is actually a sign of something much deeper? Some believe it is evidence that we are stuck in a repeating timeline, where certain events occur over and over with only minor variations. Imagine a program running on a computer that occasionally restarts, making you repeat the same section of a game without realizing it. If our reality functions like a simulation, déjà vu could be the result of these minor resets, moments when the system briefly repeats itself. Some researchers even suggest that déjà vu is a glitch that occurs when our consciousness temporarily remembers past iterations of the same timeline, only for the memory to be wiped away seconds later. Another unsettling possibility is the concept of quantum immortality, the idea that when someone dies in one timeline, their consciousness shifts into another. There are cases where people have been reported dead, only to be seen alive later, with no logical explanation. Could it be that instead of truly dying, consciousness simply jumps to a slightly different version of reality where the person continues to exist? This theory suggests that no one ever truly dies in the way we think. Instead, when a fatal event occurs, the observer, the person experiencing life, shifts into a reality where they survived, often without realizing that a transition has occurred. If this is true, it would mean that reality constantly branches off into different versions, each one slightly different from the last. People who claim to have had near-death experiences sometimes report waking up in a world that feels slightly off, as if certain details of their life had changed. Could this be evidence of consciousness shifting between parallel versions of reality? Then there are the strange cases of time dilation, moments when time seems to stop, speed up, or disappear altogether. People who have experienced missing time often report that hours or even days vanished without explanation. This is commonly associated with paranormal encounters, but it may point to a deeper phenomenon. If reality itself is not as stable as we believe, then these lost moments could be signs that time is not continuous, but instead operates in chunks or frames, much like a video that occasionally skips or lags. Some have even suggested that our experience of time is constantly being adjusted, stretched, or compressed by an unseen mechanism, keeping us locked in a certain rhythm of perception. If the flow of time can be manipulated, then our entire concept of past, present, and future might be nothing more than an illusion maintained by the system we live in. Another compelling piece of evidence that time is artificial comes from the study of historical calendars. Throughout history, different civilizations have measured time in different ways, yet there are strange inconsistencies that suggest something has been deliberately hidden. Some researchers point to the existence of a forgotten 13th month that was once part of older calendars, but was later erased. Why was this extra month removed? Could it be that time itself was altered to create a false perception of history? Even more disturbing are claims that entire periods of history, hundreds of years, have been fabricated or erased. The phantom time hypothesis suggests that certain centuries never actually happened and were inserted into historical records to serve an unknown agenda. If this is true, then the history we rely on is not just inaccurate, but intentionally falsified to keep us from seeing the true nature of our reality. One of the most extreme theories related to time manipulation is the idea that our entire civilization is periodically reset. Some researchers believe that the world has gone through multiple cycles of destruction and rebirth, with each cycle carefully erased from memory. One of the most intriguing pieces of evidence for this is the mud flood theory, which suggests that a great civilization was wiped out in the recent past, its ruins buried beneath layers of earth. Strangely, old buildings in many cities have windows and doors that are partially buried, as if the ground level was suddenly raised. If a global reset did occur, then it would mean that history itself has been rewritten multiple times to conceal the true nature of our existence. Why would such resets happen? If time is an artificial construct, then periodic resets may be a way to prevent humanity from ever progressing beyond a certain point. Each reset could erase knowledge, destroy evidence, and force humanity to start over, trapped in the same repeating cycle again and again. If all of this is true, then the time loop trap is one of the most powerful forms of control in existence. We are not just prisoners in a system. We are prisoners in time itself, forced to relive the same patterns over and over without realizing it. The reality glitches we experience, the lost time, the rewritten history, and the sense of repetition in our lives may all be signs that something is fundamentally wrong with the way time operates. If our understanding of time is flawed, then our entire perception of reality is based on an illusion. Chapter 7. The Codebreakers. Rewriting reality and hacking the system. To escape the system, one must first understand that everything they have been conditioned to believe about themselves is part of the trap. The identity you carry, your name, your nationality, your past experiences, are all constructs imposed upon you from birth. They define how you see yourself, and in doing so, they limit what you believe is possible. But who were you before these labels were placed upon you? If you had been born in another country under another name, with a different history, would you still be the same person? The answer is no, because identity is programmed, not inherent. The system relies on this programming to keep you attached to its rules. You are conditioned to believe that your past defines your future, that your limitations are real, and that your role in society is fixed. But once you detach from this artificial identity, you begin to see through the illusion. The first step to breaking free is realizing that you are not the persona you have been given. You are something far greater, something beyond definition. The system operates on frequency. Everything in this reality, including your own thoughts and emotions, vibrates at a specific rate. Low frequencies, fear, anger, despair, keep you trapped in the lower layers of existence, where suffering and struggle are dominant. The system thrives on these emotions because they generate energy, feeding the very forces that maintain control. This is why fear is constantly reinforced in the media, why suffering is normalized, and why people are kept in a state of perpetual stress. But frequency is not fixed. It can be altered. By shifting into higher states of being, such as gratitude, inner peace, and clarity, you disrupt the system's hold over you. The prison walls are not physical. They are energetic. When your frequency rises, you begin to notice that reality responds differently. You are no longer as affected by negativity. People and situations that once drained your energy start to lose their grip. The system cannot control those who are outside of its vibrational range. This is not about pretending to be happy or forcing positive thoughts. It is about mastering your internal state so that it is no longer dictated by external conditions. One of the most well-guarded secrets is the reincarnation trap. Many believe that after death, they will be guided toward the light, a comforting presence that promises reunion with loved ones and spiritual peace. But what if this is just another layer of deception? There are those who claim that the light tunnel is a recycling mechanism designed to lure souls back into the system before they can fully break free. The moment of death is one of the most vulnerable states of existence. If you enter it with fear, confusion, or attachment, you are more likely to be drawn back into another cycle of reincarnation, forced to start over with no memory of what came before. Some ancient teachings suggest that true liberation comes from rejecting the tunnel and refusing to be pulled into the cycle again. This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize detachment, not as an abstract philosophy, but as a literal method of escape. If the soul is truly eternal, then it does not need to be guided anywhere. It has the power to choose its own path, but only if it realizes that choice exists. Manifestation is not just about thinking positively or visualizing desires. It is about hacking the system's default code. The reality you experience is not fixed. It is shaped by the energy you emit. Most people operate on autopilot, reacting to the world as if it is solid and unchangeable. But those who understand the deeper mechanics of reality know that it is fluid. Every moment is a potential rewrite. Every thought, every belief, every expectation alters the coding of the simulation. The reason most people struggle with manifestation is that they try to use it within the system's rules, rather than overriding those rules altogether. The system has been designed to keep people thinking in linear, limited ways, to believe in scarcity, to accept struggle as necessary, to doubt their own power. But once you begin to shift your perception and act as if reality is programmable, you start to see evidence that it is. Synchronicities increase. Events align effortlessly. Obstacles dissolve. Reality bends because it was never rigid to begin with. It only appeared that way due to years of conditioning. Perhaps the most important realization is that the system only exists because you believe in it. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that suffering does not exist. It means understanding that without your participation, the system loses its power. Everything in this world functions through attention. Governments, corporations, media, religions, all of these structures rely on people investing their energy into them. When people stop believing in the authority of the system, it collapses. This is why fear is constantly reinforced, because if fear ensures compliance. But what happens when you withdraw your energy? When you stop feeding the illusion, the more people awaken to this, the weaker the control becomes. Reality is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. The system wants you to believe you are small, powerless, and insignificant. But the truth is, you are the source. Without your belief, without your focus, without your emotional energy, the system has no foundation to stand on. This is the final key to escaping, realizing that the prison is only real as long as you accept it. Chapter 7. Chaos versus Order. Is the universe random or governed by laws? At first glance, the universe appears chaotic. Events unfold unpredictably. Natural disasters strike without warning, and human lives seem subject to random circumstances beyond their control. But beneath this apparent disorder, there are patterns, hidden structures woven into reality itself. The presence of sacred geometry, mathematical sequences, and universal ratios suggests that what seems like randomness is, in fact, an intricate design. Ancient civilizations discovered that certain geometric forms, like the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio, appear everywhere in nature, from the spirals of galaxies to the branching of trees and even the proportions of the human body. These are not random occurrences, but signs that reality follows a deeper structure, one that can be studied, understood, and possibly even manipulated. One of the strongest indications that reality is not truly chaotic is the existence of fractals. Fractals are self-repeating patterns that appear at every level of reality, from microscopic cells to massive galaxies. If you zoom in on a snowflake, a leaf, or a river's path, you will see the same structures repeating over and over. This is not just a coincidence, but a clue that reality functions like a recursive program, where the same mathematical principles apply at every scale. If this is true, then the universe is not simply a collection of random occurrences. It is a highly organized system, one that follows a coded structure, even if that structure is not immediately visible. Fractals suggest that everything is interconnected, that no event stands alone, but is part of a greater sequence, unfolding according to patterns too vast for the human mind to perceive all at once. Some theories propose that this structure exists for a reason, that the universe is a learning simulation designed to evolve consciousness. If life were purely random, then growth, transformation, and enlightenment would also be random, but instead spiritual traditions, ancient teachings, and even modern scientific discoveries suggest that experience follows an intelligent design. Challenges appear in life not as meaningless obstacles, but as catalysts for growth. The concept of karma, cause and effect, supports this idea, indicating that actions lead to consequences that shape the trajectory of existence. If the universe were truly chaotic, then nothing would be predictable. And yet, personal and collective evolution follows distinct stages, as if existence itself is a school where souls learn through experience. This idea suggests that reality is not simply unfolding at random, but is designed to provide challenges that lead to higher awareness. Astrological cycles and cosmic rhythms further suggest that events are pre-programmed into the fabric of time. Throughout history, civilizations have tracked celestial movements and discovered that planetary alignments often correspond with major shifts in human events. Whether it is the rise and fall of empires, personal life changes, or global transformations, there seems to be an unseen script playing out. The precession of the equinoxes, the cycles of eclipses, and even the way human behavior shifts with lunar phases indicate that time itself is structured, operating according to cosmic laws. If time were truly random, history would be unpredictable, and yet patterns repeat across civilizations, as if reality follows a rhythm beyond human perception. This leads to a critical question. If events are programmed into time itself, do we truly have free will, or are we simply playing out a script? If everything follows structure, then where does free will fit into the equation? This is the paradox at the heart of reality. If life is governed by unseen codes and mathematical laws, is anything truly a choice? Or is free will simply the ability to move within a predetermined framework? Some theories suggest that we exist within a system where the main structure is fixed, but the way we experience it is up to us. In this view, reality is like a vast ocean. Its tides, currents, and storms may be preset, but how one navigates through it determines the journey. If reality is structured like a program, then it may be possible to rewrite certain aspects of it, to shift perception in a way that allows one to bypass the limitations of the system. However, to do this, one must first understand the rules that govern it. The hidden architecture of reality challenges the idea that life is meaningless or chaotic. The presence of fractals, sacred geometry, cosmic cycles, and intelligent design suggests that the universe operates according to a code, one that, if understood, may reveal the true nature of existence. The question is not whether reality is governed by laws, but whether those laws can be rewritten. If the structure is set, does that mean we are simply actors in a play we did not write? Or do we have the power to become the architects of our own reality? These questions remain unanswered, but one thing is clear. Reality is not as random as it seems. Chapter 8. Minimalism versus Maximalism. What kind of reality will you build? Reality is not just something we exist in. It is something we participate in creating. After breaking free from the programmed illusions of the Matrix, a critical question arises. What kind of reality will you build? Will you strip away all distractions and live in absolute simplicity, focusing only on the essence of existence? Or will you expand into limitless creation, shaping reality according to your highest vision? These two paths, minimalism and maximalism, represent two fundamental approaches to existence, and the choice between them defines the direction of one's awakened life. Minimalism is not just about owning fewer possessions, it is about clearing away everything that is unnecessary, both externally and internally. It is the process of shedding the artificial desires and attachments that were implanted by the system. These attachments are not just material things, but also beliefs, habits, and identities that were imposed upon consciousness. The minimalist path recognizes that most of what people chase, wealth, status, recognition, is simply programming designed to keep them engaged in the system. By letting go, one regains sovereignty over their own energy. Without constant distractions, the mind becomes quiet, perception sharpens, and one's true self emerges. This path leads to inner freedom, where existence is no longer dictated by external forces, but guided solely by one's own awareness. On the other hand, maximalism is the path of conscious creation. It is the realization that after breaking free from the system's limitations, there are no longer any rules except the ones you choose to follow. If the matrix was designed to keep consciousness small and controlled, maximalism is about expansion, pushing the limits of possibility and designing reality as one sees fit. Instead of retreating into simplicity, the maximalist embraces infinite potential. They recognize that consciousness itself is the creative force of the universe, and they use that power to construct something new. This is not about material excess, but about the expansion of energy, vision, and reality itself. A maximalist does not reject the world, but reshapes it, turning life into a canvas where anything can be manifested. Both paths lead to awakening, but they require different forms of mastery. Minimalism requires the ability to detach, to strip away illusions without fear. It demands complete surrender to the present moment, trusting that nothing external is needed for true fulfillment. Maximalism, on the other hand, requires mastery over creation, the ability to channel thought, intention, and energy into forming new realities. One is the path of detachment, the other the path of conscious manifestation. Neither is superior to the other. Both represent different expressions of awakened existence. Some will find their truth in silence, stillness, and simplicity, while others will find theirs in expansion, creation, and boundless expression. The real choice is not about possessions or lifestyles. It is about energetic focus. Where do you invest your consciousness? Minimalism is about refining focus, directing all energy inward to achieve pure awareness. Maximalism is about expanding focus, directing energy outward to shape external reality. Both paths require an understanding of energy, how it moves, how it is influenced, and how it responds to intention. Whether one chooses to strip away or build up, the key is conscious control over one's own vibrational state. When operating outside of the system's programmed limitations, reality becomes fluid, responding directly to the energy one puts forth. The question is not just what kind of world one will live in, but what kind of consciousness one will embody. After mastering reality, a final question remains. What comes next? Some will choose to remain within the system, using their awareness to guide others toward liberation. They will become way showers, teaching those still trapped in illusion how to wake up. Others will choose to exit completely, moving beyond the boundaries of the matrix into realities yet unknown. Some may even move between both states, acting as a bridge between dimensions, carrying knowledge back and forth. Whatever the choice, it is no longer dictated by external forces. It is made with full awareness, beyond fear, beyond illusion. Whether one chooses the path of detachment or creation, the ultimate truth remains. Reality is no longer something that happens to you. It is something you shape. Conclusion. Reality is not what it seems. From the illusion of the matrix to the traps of the outer and inner world, we have uncovered how consciousness is manipulated, how time itself may be an artificial construct, and how hidden forces keep humanity in a cycle of control. But knowledge is power. Once you see the system for what it is, you are no longer bound by it. The theories, patterns, and glitches we've explored reveal that reality is not fixed. It is something that can be rewritten. The ultimate key to liberation lies in your awareness. By understanding the hidden mechanisms of control, you break free from the unconscious loops that keep you trapped. Whether through detachment or conscious creation, your choice shapes the world you experience. Order and chaos, minimalism and maximalism. These are not external forces, but reflections of your own consciousness. The matrix only holds power over those who believe in it. The moment you stop playing by its rules, you begin to write your own. If this audiobook opened your mind, let the universe know. Hit the like button, share this knowledge with those ready to awaken, and subscribe to stay on this journey of deeper truth. Your awareness is the key, and together we are rewriting reality.